Alrighty, welcome. Forgotten Legends of Sound again. Today we're gonna do something a little bit different. Today we're gonna just kind of talk about the channel, why we even do this. What do we get out of it? Kind of discuss that. When we wrote it down in our book of dope rhymes, so we'll kind of read those questions off. But we thought it was kind of important to do this kind of a video instead of only just album review kind of stuff. I think since Kevin's sitting in the middle, we thought it was fair that he be the reader of the questions, and that works for me.
Agreed. And we'd been talking about like doing this sort of introduction video for a while now, for like a couple of months, but every time we get together, we're like, oh, dude, let's do another album, and so, yeah, it'll be good to go over these questions and whatnot and explain kind of like where we're coming from and where we're going and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
So should we go for it?
Who wants to go first and all that stuff?
We could just have. Like yeah, we could do that. We could just have Kevin. You could just be sort of the moderator of it, Yeah. And you just kind of ask the question, and then if you want to start with Chad with a question, or me with a question, or yourself with a question, let's just do it that way.
There you go.
That way it's not
hands. Like,
it's in your hands.
You got 60 seconds.
I know.
All right. So the first question: why Forgotten Legends of Sound? Ian.
Oh gosh. You son of a bee. Why Forgotten Legends of Sound? So we chose that name. We were like kind of going back and forth for like maybe a week or so. We were just like sending text messages to each other because we were thinking about like a cool name for the channel. And I think I came up with Forgotten Legends of Sound, so no, but the name basically encapsulates what we're about. It basically says that we want to share like bands that we deem legendary, and yet they seem to be forgotten in a lot of music discussions. And we wanted to kind of push those kinds of artists, So I feel like our name kind of encapsulates that a little bit, So Forgotten Legends of Sound.
It just sounds cool.
It sounds all epic and stuff. I just thought it was cool,
Just real cool.
It's just a cool name,
I do remember us going back and forth with different names and nothing really like stuck. And then for whatever reason, when we came up with this name, we thought like someone has to have had that name. And then we looked it up and we're like, oh, no one has that name. Okay, sure, why not? And I think it really does show that like, yeah, we're trying to shed a light on something that we feel like on YouTube at least nobody sheds a light on, nobody like cares about. There's plenty of videos and whatnot that we've seen of like people copying each other's material and whatnot, and we're like, dude, we don't want to do that. We don't like, there's some important albums or some great albums that we'll cover. It's not like we're gonna be like, we have to do something that nobody knows about. It's not that. It has more to do with adding to sort of like the larger musical discussion. You know what I mean? So we wanted to sort of join into the discussion, and we felt like the name just shows that like, yeah, we're trying to bring something new to the discussion. And anything you wanted to add with the name and whatnot?
No, you guys just said it all.
It just sounded cool.
Yeah, that's what I got. I'm contributing.
Do you guys remember some of the other names we're trying to come up with?
I can't remember.
Yeah, I can't remember.
I think there were some, pretty generic stuff.
Yeah, I thought one was like Ghost some music or something. I don't know.
We tried to put like music, like there's a little bit of like metal names, but then we were like, well, we don't want to be like
a metal channel.
Yeah. So like then like those names kind of went away. I think we wanted to do something. Maybe I mentioned something to do with like the word forever or the word like sonata or stuff like that. Some variation of forever and this and that, but. Yeah, I don't think anything really stuck. So
the fact we can't even remember those other names probably says a lot about like their how relevant they're
next. You want me to do the next question?
Yeah. Oh, sure. Yeah.
All right. Next question is why make videos? Chad, let's take it away. Like, why are you part of this? Why are you making videos?
Do you guys just want to go first, and I'll just say no? No, okay.
How about you guys go first, and I'll say no.
I guess I don't know. For me, I feel like we've been doing this for a while now. Like, how long? Probably
like
10.
a few weeks.
Not this.
No, I know what you meant.
Okay.
Yeah, we've been doing music stuff
For
forever.
20 plus years. Honestly.
Yeah, and it's just it's fun, like just being able to enjoy something and like just share it with people.
Yeah.
And even if they don't like it all the time, like it's cool to just get people's thoughts. It's cool to put stuff out there, share it, and I guess like making videos. Hopefully, I know we don't have a lot of people watching, but it would be cool to just kind of have some more interactions with people, talk to more like-minded people, and just kind of, I don't know, have fun with it and get a little community together. Like that'd be cool.
Yeah.
And it's like, I don't know, like I remember you just being like, dude, we do this anyways. Why not freaking videotape it? Like I was sold right there.
That's true. Kevin did say that.
Yeah. You want to carry on, Ian?
Sure. What was the question?
Why are you making videos? Like why make videos?
Why make videos? So like I think that I've always loved sharing music. Ever since I like got huge into music in high school, I would freaking make tons of mixes and stuff for people and try to push bands on people. And
Dude, these guys like burned me a freaking book of like what 50 freaking different artists. And yeah. You guys are a big part of my music collection.
Yeah, and wait, we burned you a book?
Well, like, dude, like a whole book full of CDs, burnt
like
CDs.
Same with like Brian and
Brandon. I forgot about that.
Yeah, we
it was like it was giant. I forgot about that. Yeah.
Anyways, though, sorry.
Yeah, no, that's cool. We just I've always like the last 6 years I'd write reviews on like rate your music or whatever, and through that way I was able to find other people that liked like kind of unknown music and stuff, and they shared bands with me that I didn't know, and I shared bands with them, and it was always just really fun. Like for some reason, like when you really love something, you just want to share it with people, you know? And I feel like that's why we're doing these videos. We want to share it to, even if there's only 10 people watching this, you know,
that's enough.
That's enough. You know, it's like 10 people that maybe are like fans of this music or, you know, might appreciate it. You know, I think that would just be kind of fun to do. So that's kind of why I'm doing it. I've just always had this love of sharing cool artists with other people, and it makes me excited when other people get excited about music.
It's funny because like for me, the reason why I like to make videos and whatnot with you guys is to me this is the kind of channel that I wish existed, kind of thing, you know. And for me, I'm kind of like, man, I wish there was more channels that were just long form, you know, an hour, 2, 3, you know, just so I can listen to it and then they can go deeper into information, deeper into how they feel about the music, so on and so forth. And so I feel like it was kind of one of those things where it was like, well, I'm not finding channels on YouTube that I enjoy and whatnot, like musical channels. A lot of them follow a certain pattern or whatever.
Say the same stuff, you know, over and over again.
Right. And I was just like, well, you know, there's that saying, you know, be the change you want to see in the world or whatever, you know. And it's funny because like every time we do a video and stuff, like I'll watch and I'll listen to the video, you know, like whether I'm working or whatever, you know. And I enjoy it, and I like revisiting the moments and that moment there, and you know, because it is like immersive and whatnot. And I think like, so the reason why I like to make videos and whatnot is because there's just a lot of like B-sides to certain like, you know, albums and whatnot, like songs that no one cares about and stuff, but then it's like we're getting into that nitty-gritty stuff, you know. Every once in a while you'll come across someone, whether reading a review, and you're like, oh, this person understands, this person knows, like they're into that nitty-gritty, like, you know, like the B-side tracks that no one cares about, and like, oh, he knows, you know. And it's just it's fun, you know. I enjoy it and whatnot, and it's kind of like exhilarating. And even if like we've mentioned, even if not a lot of people like watch it and stuff, I just think like, man, if there's one person that's like me, that feels the same like me, who's like, man, I can't find a channel that I enjoy and whatnot, oh, but this is what I'm talking about because I love this album, I love this, and like doing 3 hours on this album, oh man, my favorite band, or I can go on this all day, you know what I mean? And I think that's pretty cool.
And some things about the video, I don't know if we will go into this deeper, but just something I kind of wanted to mention is like, one thing that I always saw in other like music channel videos is I always felt like it was a little bit like people were saying kind of the same stuff. I felt like there's this culture of like, you're supposed to say these things about these artists, and you're not supposed to go against the grain. And I always found that the people that would say stuff that I never hear anybody says, that's the stuff that I always thought was the most interesting thing. And all of us, we have different points of view. So like for videos, I wanted it to be something that like shows that we could all talk about music in different ways, and we all have different like backgrounds in music where we just love different things. And it's just kind of on one thing we do is we don't like edit the videos, except for obviously when we have to censor something or whatever. But otherwise, we don't make any like vanity edits or anything like that where we're like, oh, I accidentally said the wrong thing, I'm gonna have to cut that or something like that.
Yeah.
Because and it's just kind of like, granted, if people wanted to edit it, make it better, that's totally fine. There's nothing wrong with that. Ours is like a shoestring budget, you know. We just have a camera and that's
what
it.
you see
know?
is what you get.
What you see is what you get, you know. But I kind of like that sort of format because I feel like, in a way, you're able to just see like kind of genuine conversation. And that's kind of what I really wanted, because sometimes when I see other channels, it feels like people are just kind of like, I don't know,
I gotta
just
sound
trying
right.
to be,
I gotta sound cool. I gotta
Yeah.
sound this. I gotta sound
yeah,
that.
they're like trying hard to be either both polite, you know, or they're trying hard to just kind of conform to whatever, like they don't want to badmouth stuff or something. And I'm not saying it's cool to badmouth or anything, but it's just, I think it's okay to have an honest opinion about something, and you don't have to have the same opinion as everybody else. And I think that that's kind of what the kind of videos or channel I would want to see.
Going off of that too, like, yeah, I don't want, like, you, the viewer, I don't want you to ever think that, like, we're telling you what to think or we're telling you how to feel, because, like, music is a very, like, personal journey and whatnot, to where you have your own thoughts and feelings on it and whatnot. And there might be something like I'll say, or Chad's, you know, one of us will say something that you might not agree with and whatnot, and that's okay, you know. But we don't want a channel that's like, well, we're gonna try and say what we think you want us to say. You know, we don't want to do any of that. We want to just say what we think about it and how we feel about the music and whatnot. And you know,
and other people could write comments or make their own videos if they're like, these people are so full of it, and then make a video about it, or like make a comment. Like, that'd be cool to at least hear somebody that's disagreeing with us, you know.
like
that'd be cool.
I'd rather have someone like disagree with my opinion, but it's like honest and whatnot, instead of just be like, it was good, it was good, you know, like, you know. So,
and it's like we make mistakes too. Like, sometimes our opinions change over time. Sometimes we might say something that's like a little bit off, because we're not music geniuses here to give our enlightened knowledge to the masses.
It's just,
you know?
it's more of like a sharing, like you know, if this is something that you enjoy and whatnot, then hey, welcome to the party, welcome to the
just three dudes talk about music.
Yeah, exactly.
That's pretty much it.
Yeah, here we are.
Should we go to the next question?
Yeah.
Sure.
All right. How did you get into music? I'll start with this one. You know, it's funny because, like, I started playing the drums when I was like 10 or 11 or something like that.
Was it sixth grade or something?
Yeah, you know, and I did listen to a lot of music before that, though, you know. Like, my older brother had a lot of CDs. I listened to a lot of Boston. I listened to a lot of The Offspring, you know, listened to a lot of Metallica, Third Eye Blind, Collective Soul, you know, that kind of stuff. I remember my older brother having the cassette for Third Eye Blind's, like, self-titled album. I remember listening to that.
Brings a tear to my eye.
You know, and, you know, I loved that. And, you know, it's interesting because, you know, in elementary school, I was basically familiar with Kill 'Em All, Ride the Lightning, Master of Puppets, and Justice for All, basically. And the Black Album. Basically, those 5 albums I was familiar with by the time I hit 6th grade. Because my older brother was older, so he was getting into that stuff in middle school or high school or whatever, you know.
But you guys disregarded Cannibal Corpse and Slayer.
but he did play some of that stuff too. We grew up listening, like, in our garage playing basketball. Sometimes Angel of Death would pop up or something. You know, like, my older brother, he jumped from like genre to genre,
metal, rap.
Yeah. Like, so we, you know, when Eminem got big, you know, we listened to that, you know, and but it was just kind of like, I grew up with that, but I also grew up with my mom shared a lot of music, mostly like Les Miserables, Lorena McKennitt, Enya, Moody
REM.
Blues.
She played REM.
She played REM.
Simon
you know?
and Garfunkel.
Simon and
G.
Garfunkel.
Yeah.
You know, and so it's like I grew up with some like metal stuff, but then I also grew up with like some soft stuff and everything. And then I just know that when I hit high school and whatnot, probably like ninth grade is when we got into more obscure stuff and whatnot. Because middle school was still kind of like following a lot of radio stuff, whatever. But high school was when it was like, okay, jumping into Sonata Arctica, jumping into Halloween, jumping into, all these bands that and this is before YouTube. YouTube didn't exist yet. So we were just listening to 30-second clips on like Circuit City Music or cduniverse.com, those certain websites, listening to little bits here and there, looking up like, related artists and whatnot. And so how I got into music, it was just sort of like, I like the way it made me feel. You know what I mean? I always was a pretty serious kid, and I felt like music just clicked. I felt something when I would lay in the backseat of a car being 8 years old while, nothing else matters is being played or something. You know what I mean? That's a real memory, laying there and just it's 12 o'clock at night, you know what I mean? And just, and so, those moments really made an impression on me. And it's funny because as a kid, I thought like music was like, this like hits the soul. Man, this is real. This is like adult type stuff. This is really something. I viewed it as being, greater than me. And even as I've gotten older and everything, it's still greater than me. And so it's sometimes you just love it and you're never gonna like not love it. So, what do you think, Ian?
How I got into music is very similar to you. Like, I think family.
Did you grow up with me?
It's almost like you guys are like brothers,
or
like twins or something.
It's kind of strange. But I remember even as a kid, our dad would play like a lot of doo-wop, a lot of oldies music and stuff. So I remember listening to Great Balls of Fire when I was a little kid and just be like, man, this piano's insane. And
Runaway.
And then Runaway, Del Shannon, and just there was something about that music that just made me fall in love with it. Like it had this pure sound to it. Listening to the Righteous Brothers sing like Unchained Melody or something. Yeah. As a kid, as someone who's 6, you're just like, wow, so this is what eternal powerful love feels like or whatever, And it's just kind of funny how like you hear this stuff from adults and you think that that's how like adults like either are or like they're sharing things that you don't really know much about, but you want to know. You want to have like these feelings of like, oh man, this whatever this song's about, I want to like experience something like that, or this like, whatever it was. And our older brother I think was a big influence on us because on me, I guess. I mean, I'm speaking for you too. Right, because when we were like in 5th grade or something, he just gave us like 30 CDs or something. I don't even know why. He was just getting out of them or something. And in those CDs...
Bon Jovi, Grayson,
there was Bon Jovi, Aerosmith, Boston. There's a few Led Zeppelin albums. There was like a Guns N' Roses, the Metallicas. That's how we got into Metallica. So in a way, Lee, our older brother, was the way that we kind of got into rock music because he was older and he knew what it was. And I remember when we got into Collective Soul... Our sister ordered a ton of CDs from, I don't know if maybe some people are older remember this. Back in the day, you would pay like $50 or something to order like 10 CDs at a discounted price, as long as you pick like 10 CDs from a magazine or something. And they gave my sister like a bunch of CDs, but they gave her one for Collective Soul, and she didn't order it, and she's just like, what the heck is this? And she didn't want it, so she gave it to us. And it's a self-titled, Collective Soul album. And I remember us loving that and just being like, man. And I remember when I was a kid, too, we had Matchbox 20, Yourself or Someone Like You, and Third Eye Blind's self-titled. I remember sitting in the car while like everyone else went into the store and just listening to those like on headphones. It was like on this, I think it was on a CD player or cassette or something.
Cassette player. Yeah. We had both, but later it was much more the CD player.
More CD, But it was just so magical. Like I was just like... rocking out, thanks a lot, and I didn't even know like what all of these songs were about, like Losing a Whole Year or like Semi-Charmed Life, that was over my head as a kid. I didn't know what these songs were really about, but I loved the rock sound and I loved the music. And as we got older, Chad was kind of a big influence upon me because we were friends with Chad growing up. And Chad had this metal sampler CD or whatever. This is kind of like, it's funny because like me and Kevin, we knew like a lot of like punks, well, a good bit of punk stuff. We knew like Metallica, that was about it for metal. We knew a lot of classic rock stuff, but that was kind of it, when we were younger. And it was mostly derived from our brother. And Chad gave me this like metal CD. It was like a sampler CD, and it had like, I don't know, all like 16 or 17, 18 different like metal bands from Century Media and Nuclear Blast. And that opened my eyes to like, holy crap, there's a ton of metal music that's awesome. And that kind of paved the way to like get into power metal and prog. And because before that, there was this glass ceiling. We had no idea how big the music world really was. So then after that, I realized, holy death, there's a ton of bands and there are a ton of genres I never knew about. And that was kind of like the first thing to inspire me to try to find more music and realize that there's a lot more stuff out there. So I think that's kind of how I got exposed. I know I was talking a little bit about the journey, I guess, a little bit, but
That's all good.
that's kind of how I was exposed to music. What about you, Chad?
Yeah.
What's the sorry?
How did you get into music?
Music? Dang. My dad, definitely, dude. Like, we have like home movies of me like freaking air guitar on a broomstick like Megadeth, dude. Like, I was in diapers when I was freaking listening to that crap and just like headbanging and jumping off couches and stuff.
That's awesome.
Like just really, really young, like, and then he'd play all sorts of stuff, and like anytime we'd be driving in the car, dude, like if like he'd always like hear one of like those 70s rock bands, like you'd hear it and he'd like, if you can tell me who this is, I'll give you $5. So like I'd always start like listening, and I never got it, and then when I finally started to get it, he's like, yeah, I'm paying you. But it's like just little things like that. Like anytime the radio's on is always classic rock. At home, doing like Megadeth, Metallica. And then like as far as, I guess my dad definitely like got me into like the rock and metal stuff, and then my mom, like, I was too cool for it, but like she did Paul Abdul. I have a soft spot for Paul Abdul. Joan Jett. She did do some country, of course, like Johnny Cash, and dang, who else? David Allan Coe.
Wait, your mom played David Allan Coe?
Only the good songs. Yeah.
Like, man, your mom won.
Yeah, no, she didn't have any of that other stuff. But,
Yeah, that's funny.
Yeah, and then dang, what else? I'm trying to figure out like when I started like kind of branching like more into like underground stuff, because
like what was the impact?
But I guess that's pretty much what got me into music, was definitely like my dad and my mom.
You're like, I was always in the underground. No, I'm
born in the underground. I was born in the underground.
Oh, I was born there, man. No, dude, like me and Tosh would like, my sister, my older sister, like we'd listen to the radio, and like I remember Good Charlotte would come on, and we'd like record the song on a tape and like make mixes off the radio and stuff. Like when we were kids, like that was always pretty fun. Matchbox 20, just all that kind of stuff when we were younger. Third Eye Blind, I remember seeing like a music video for that, like 'cause my parents would be like, can't watch MTV, and anytime I go to a friend's house it'd be like, yep, I'm watching it.
I will say, just as a quick add-on, VH1 Classic, that show really made an impact on me, because every Saturday morning they would do like a top 10, top 20, like
pop songs,
rock and pop songs of like whatever's charting or whatever. So then it'd be like number 17, and then they play the music video. It'd be like, I don't know, like Bon Jovi, It's My Life, or it'd be like Savage Garden, Truly Madly Deeply. I remember Red Hot Chili Peppers, like Other World was on there, or Other Side, and
I remember seeing that video a lot.
And so I VH1, and then the next week on the next Saturday I'd be like, oh man, this one's not on there anymore. Oh man, I like that one.
I remember our mom played that a lot, because I think she was always interested in that.
I didn't watch a whole lot of MTV growing up though. I really didn't. It was mostly the VH1.
Dude, do you guys remember Uranium? The metal channel. Oh, dude, that was awesome. Anytime I was at Trent Mason's house, like in middle school, dude, I had to watch that crap. Yeah.
I do remember in the middle of the night, sometimes I wake up and there was like VH1 Insomnia Hour, and they just played music video after music video, and I would just be sitting there transfixed, like freaking watching like either Jeremy or Losing My Religion, those videos, being just like, man,
I'm pretty sure like that like Insomnia Hour type stuff, or like Headbangers Ball type stuff. Yeah, that stuff. Yeah. I'm pretty sure that's when I first heard something like Sabotage or Queensryche. Some of those 80s stuff where I'm pretty sure just there was a music video, and then it didn't really click, and then a few years later. Then so we move on to the next one.
Yeah.
What are your favorite genres or bands? All right, Chad, take it away.
All right, let's see. Dang, genres. For the longest time, dude, just obviously rock was like a huge influence just from my dad. And then, man, I forgot how I heard Slayer, but once I heard Slayer, dude, Rain and Blood, it was just over, dude. I needed faster, I needed heavier, I needed a more aggressive. And, dude, like, just real quick, I know this isn't like getting into that, but like, the first time I got like at Hot Topic, dude, I was asking this lady because I wanted to find out. I was like, who's Napalm Death? Because like I heard the name, but I didn't know like who they were. Yeah. And then she gives me this like Relapse Records like sampler, and that's where I got that. And I think that's where I got some other ones too. Was from freaking Hot Topic, dude. Like,
dude, she was a saint.
yeah, exactly. And yeah, awesome. She gives me that, and it just exploded. And yeah, I guess like for some reason, just thrash metal and death metal, just like I love those freaking genres, like death thrash. Yeah, just kind of anything with thrash or death in it, I'm pretty much was digging. And even grindcore, I remember those are like the three that I just listened the crap out of. And I think I got into grindcore was from like Macabre. They're more of a death grind band, but like I'd never heard anything like that. I remember I got the Dahmer album and like I was going through lyrics and listening to the music, and I was like, dude, this is fucking kind of unsettling. and like just I don't know, just all the different like ways like music can make you feel. And I remember like just being in my room, dude, just being pissed off, like, you know, some stuff would happen, and I would just go in my room and put on Cannibal Corpse and just start like beating the crap out of something. It was just like such a release, and I don't know, like I really got into like heavy music, and yeah, it's just always such an awesome release for me. Yeah. So yeah, death metal, thrash metal, and grindcore were like huge for me. Like those are probably my favorites.
You wanna go next?
You could take it away.
Okay, I'll take it away. You know, like watching this channel and stuff. You know, if you're with us for a while, you'll realize like I'm like the prog metal guy, the power metal guy. You know, I'm the drummer, so I'm a little bit like the analytical listener, I guess. I think I'm the most like analytical listener. And I think that makes sense because like, you know, I'm constantly like the types of music that I really like, you know, like progressive metal, power metal and whatnot. I'm hearing like, oh man, while this guitar's doing this, oh, what's the lower section doing? Oh, the piano's doing this. What is he doing with his left hand? Oh, he's going dun dun dun, and okay, what's everyone doing? You know, it's like it just creates like this fullness in the sound and whatnot. I will say like those genres are very real big to me. I will say like Celtic New Age type music I do like, you know, a lot. I wish I knew more artists from that area, but I do like that sound and whatnot. I will say like 90s, like, you know, rock or alternative rock, classic rock. I do love all of that stuff as well. You know, I'm a sucker for what they call like, you know, the arena rock or, you know, like Boston, Journey, you know, all that stuff I really enjoy. You know, but then growing up in Southern California in the 90s, it was like, dude, of course you're going to listen to punk music, you know? So it's kind of like, you know, I remember constantly listening to, you know, Americana, constantly listening to like Social Distortion or whatever, you know, a lot of like, you know, Orange County bands and whatever, you know? And so that's kind of like there's some rap that I like and whatnot. Like I like to say like I like most everything. I think country's probably the one that I'm least familiar with, but I think there's probably something good there. I just haven't found what I like and whatnot. But yeah, generally I'm kind of the prog metal, power metal guy. You know, I do like some death metal. I do like very little bit of black metal, but you know, yeah, that's kind of the genres that I like and whatnot. So.
Yeah, before you start, Ian, yeah, like, those are the three that I like the most, but, like, you guys have introduced me into a lot of stuff, dude, like, synth pop, freaking, I think I always kind of liked alternative rock and metal, but, getting stuff from you guys, I've gotten a lot more into it, there's a lot that I do like, but those three are kind of my main.
The main, for me, prog power is, like, my main, like,
But anyway, sorry, Ian.
Yeah, I pretty much like, I like everything, but I think
He's the most.
Yeah, he
well,
like when he says he listens to a little bit of everything, he fudging means it. Like,
but like
yeah.
there's some genres I guess I don't care as much for. I think some of the like electronic music, IDM kind of stuff, like I'm not as into. Country, I'm not as into, you know. So some genres, same thing with hip hop, like it's very few hip hop that I'm really like all about, you know. But like the main genres I think I listen to the most is probably mostly like melodic death metal, power metal, prog rock, prog metal, alternative rock, synth pop is a huge one. Probably classic rock too. Um, I do listen. Well, I only got into black metal maybe in the last couple years, so that's like still a newer genre. I hated that genre for the longest freaking time, and then all of a sudden it started sounding pretty good. I feel like that's the story of like my life. I like some shoegaze stuff. I guess like it's funny because I grew up only liking '90s and '70s, and then when I got older, I started loving the '80s. Like '80s was just such an interesting year for music. And I like a lot of the stuff from the 2000s. Yeah, I don't know. I think I kind of like I like most genres of metal. I think sludge metal and doom metal are definitely the two genres I don't. I like a little bit of stuff
there's
from
some
there.
there's some good stuff in there. But
Yeah, but
definitely not deep dive.
they're not like ones that I go to a lot. But yeah, I think those are probably my favorite genres. Or
I will say one thing for all of us is like, I think all of us are like something huge like here in America. I think is a lot of the core stuff like the metalcore, deathcore, like a lot of that stuff is really huge for a lot of people. We're not the biggest core people, so if you are a core listener, maybe maybe there's something about that genre that like you will know about and you'll enjoy that we just don't really know about. I've heard a little bit of that stuff and whatnot. I haven't really gotten into it and whatnot, but most of the time when I talk to a metalhead here in America, it's usually metalcore stuff that they're into and whatnot, and I just have a hard time connecting with that.
It's hard because I find that most in America, the folks that listen to metal, they're listening to Five Finger Death Punch, they're listening to like
Killswitch Engage,
Killswitch Engage. It's like always kind of the same kind of gateway bands that people get into.
And it's like, you like Slayer? Here's Killswitch Engage, and it's like,
it's like not the same thing.
Sorry.
But it's just kind of like it's weird because like we got into genres of metal that like I felt like the metal magazines weren't really promoting. Like it was just kind of just trying out just different things and what sounded good, what didn't sound good, and going from there. And there's nothing wrong with enjoying stuff that you're exposed to because like obviously metalcore was huge in the 2000s, so it makes sense why so many people got into it because they never heard anything like that before. But for some reason, all it did was just alienate maybe us a little bit more from those kinds of people because nobody really liked the stuff that we were really into. And then we didn't see why they liked their stuff,
I just know that like back when I was like in high school, basically I stopped listening to the radio. And I think when everyone was getting into like Rise Against and Jimmy Eat World or Avenged Sevenfold or whatever, I had already cut myself off from like whatever, and like I listened to a lot of the radio back in elementary school and middle school. So I like connected.
As soon as the early 2000s came on, it was gone.
And I feel like when metalcore and stuff started getting big, or like My Chemical Romance, all that stuff was getting big. I had already kind of checked out, and I was on my own path of like finding stuff. Whatever, and so I just got totally disconnected from all of that stuff. It's just kind of how it happened.
That's how it happened for me too.
But
and that's another thing with our channel. Like we don't want to try to dog on whatever's popular. Like it's real easy to just be like, all that famous stuff is garbage. And all of us love a lot of famous stuff. It's really good.
Exactly.
But we just wanted to talk more about the stuff that people don't talk about that much because it was just frustrating when you love a band and no one knows it and everyone's just like, okay, whatever, and you're just like, oh man, guys, this is really cool.
Whatever. Like,
but it's not whatever. It's really good. So yeah.
All right. Next question is, how do you pick albums and bands for the channel? I guess I'll go first for this one. Honestly, it's on the fly. It really is. Like we will talk amongst each other and be like, oh man, I really want to do this album and stuff, and like, oh man, I really want to do this one. How I personally pick, like, I'll let you guys kind of share how you guys pick your albums and whatnot, and like, we don't even know exactly what we want this whole channel to be like. right now we enjoy kind of just doing like album reviews and ranking them and whatnot. I mean, we might do like top 10 discussions, we might do other stuff and whatnot, but there's so many top 10 type stuff out there and whatnot. It's just something that, I mean, maybe we would, but like for now, there's still so many bands that we need to cover and talk about and whatnot. So we'll kind of see where it goes. We don't want to like close ourselves off from like anything. You know, we're still a pretty young channel and whatnot, so we're open to just doing whatever. But like how I pick albums and whatnot is I'm just kind of like, you know, this album or this band is really underrated, and man, this needs a little more love in the community, or this really needs, you know, or like I'll pick something that I'm just like, man, I've never met anyone that knows about this band, or I've never met anyone that like cares about this area of this genre or whatnot.
Yeah.
And so you'll notice like it, especially with like prog metal and power metal, like I will pick some, you know, prog metal, power metal, like stuff that people know about, but I am really going to focus on a lot of stuff that people don't talk about and whatnot, you know. And like I guess just a little bit of teasers and whatnot. I will do Before Eden, you know, Legacy of Gaia. I will do Thought Chamber.
No one knows what that is.
I will do Thought Chamber, you know. Those two, yeah, I'm definitely gonna do. I will do some Circus Maximus and whatnot. I will do Adagio for the power metal side. Evil Masquerade, Opus Atlantica. Yeah, I am gonna do some stuff and whatnot, but like all in good time, you know. And so it really is for me. It's kind of like on the fly, whatever I'm feeling and whatnot, you know. So yeah. You want to go next, Steve?
I think because I've been like on Rate Your Music for a while, and I feel like Rate Your Music it's funny because I feel like there's different kinds of bubbles in music. I feel like there's kind of the mainstream bubble where people only know what's in the top charts or whatever, like what they hear on the radio, what Spotify promotes, and that's kind of it. That's kind of their bubble. They don't realize that there's other outside stuff. I think sometimes Rate Your Music has its own bubble where people only know the most popular bands on that site, you know? And some of those bands, because it's weird, when you see an album from a band like Slint, you ask the average person, or like Godspeed You Black Emperor, you ask the average person and they're not going to know what that is. But to the music kind of community on Rate Your Music, that's just like
common.
A walk in the park, you know? It's so common, and they all know what that is because that site is generated to kind of like, if so many people talk about something, eventually that's going to be what's kind of more promoted because, you know, more people that you have, the more that the charts will show. It's kind of like Rate Your Music built their own charts. So some people are only in the top 40, top 100 charts of Rate Your Music. So it's kind of like a similar bubble, but in a different way. And how I kind of base some of my picks is usually like if I see a band or an album on there that I'm like, wow, nobody on Rate Your Music is like writing reviews for this or talking about it, or like, you know, I'll see that it's got 16 ratings. I'm like, how does an album get 16 ratings and it's this good, but it's been out for like 6 years? Like, come on, people, you know? So I think most of the time, and another thing that factors in how I pick albums is how much I love it. Because there's some albums that I absolutely love, but people talk about those to death, you know? It's like, sure, I love freaking Ride the Lightning. It's, you know, one of the best Metallica albums, you know, one of the best thrash albums in general, you know? But everybody knows that. So it's like, why am I going to sit here talking about, you know, an album that we all know is awesome, you know? So instead, like, I'll look at some of my favorite albums of various years, or even like my top 3 albums of a year, and then I'll pick out, okay, that is a super obscure band that nobody really knows and stuff. So that's kind of usually how I pick mine.
Yeah, I am definitely not as organized as you guys on this, but I guess for me, I try to think like, okay, for right now, it's kind of like when I was younger, what had like what did I listen to? I was like, oh man, this is awesome that I never got to talk with anybody about. I'm kind of trying to pick some of that stuff, and I guess just, yeah, like I don't have a ton to say about it, but just anything that I just think sounds good and that I want to put out there. Like, don't have any more to say than that. But
there's definitely an element of like, man, I want to support this band, or man, I want to like give this band a little bit more of like
some kind of push.
Yeah,
because the thing about like bands getting bigger or whatever is like you're not going to get like any listeners if literally no one's talking about your music. Yeah. Then it's just not going to get out there. And I feel like the bands that we're covering are really awesome bands, and it'd be nice if more people heard their music and stuff because we think it's really awesome. So
yeah. All right. What is your mission? Do you want to take this one away?
I can. What is my mission? It's funny.
Yeah. Oh, go ahead.
It's funny because, like, I think sometimes when you would really enjoy stuff, you love when other people enjoy it also. But at the same time, I don't feel like it's my mission to convert everybody to my music or the stuff that I like or whatever. And, you know, I think that sometimes people get conceited when they like unknown music and they just love being like, see, I'm into some deep stuff. You guys don't even know. And it's just kind of like, it's like their little like pet project or something. And it's kind of like, it's weird because they'll complain about a band not being known, and yet they love that they're not known because then they could feel like that, like if they became known, then they'd be like fudging sellouts, you know, like it's like you can't win with that. And I kind of feel like my mission in a way is like, and I know none of these bands that we're covering know who we are. They don't, you know, it's not like we're doing anything on the behalf of anybody else. But to me, I feel like these are bands that their music has like really touched me in a way. It's really like spoken to me, and I've listened to it for years, and I've just really enjoyed it a ton. So I feel like my mission is to try and like share that with other people so that they can have those experiences. And it may not always work. Like so many people I've made mixes to or written down hundreds of bands or whatever like that I've shared to, like they haven't really checked anything out, and that's fine. But every now and then there will be somebody that actually dude, out of how many people I'll share something with, there will be like a small percentage of people that will actually listen to it. And those small percentage people, I'm just kind of like, yeah, you guys are pretty cool. You know, so I think that's my mission. I want to try to, you know, share this to other cool people, you know, so that they could be cool like me. No, I'm messing. No, but anyways, that's pretty much I love just sharing stuff with people.
Yeah, I think my mission or goal, I talked about it a little bit, is just, you know, I find it criminal that like there's certain bands and certain music that's just not in the larger musical discussion. And so my mission is to share and to talk about why this stuff is important, just to try and give a little bit more of an explanation why certain things should not be forgotten. Certain sounds should not be forgotten, you know? And so it is a little bit of a mission because it's like, you know, sure you can like write a book, you can release an album, but if no one listens to it, no one reads it, no one talks about it, it might as well not exist. And it just bothers me that there's certain bands out there that I feel like, you know, they might be broken up for like 20 years. They might just be gone and stuff. But I'm kind of like, I don't want them to die into
obscurity.
Yeah, I don't want them to be forgotten. I don't, you know, there were certain bands that out for a while, certain bands that I was just like, man, I cannot get this album. I can't, you know. And then all of a sudden in like 2018, their albums that were released in the 90s or whatever that no one cared about, they're now being reissued and stuff. And then I'm just like, cool.
Finally,
that's great because there are people like me who are like keeping some of this stuff alive and whatnot. You know what I mean? So that is sort of my mission, to like share, express my thoughts and feelings on the artist and whatnot, and to hopefully, you know, provide some entertainment for sure for like the viewers and whatnot, that they can enjoy it. But you know, this really is like a kind of a deep music channel. This isn't like just like your ordinary like chill listener, like, oh, I put it on when I'm doing something. This is much more of like an in-depth kind of channel. Like the people who are going to be into this are people that are already like love music and like, you know. And so yeah, I just want to add a little more to the big musical discussion, so to speak, you know.
What's your mission?
My mission, I just want to ride in the car and wherever it takes me, you know, I'm good.
No, I guess yeah, I don't know if I like have like this like exact thing I'm looking for, but like, dude, if I can just get some of the bands that I like out there, just get some, even just getting your guys' thoughts and opinions on them, like it's just it's fun for me. Because a lot of times when I was younger, I would play certain stuff and push it on all my friends, and they'd just be like, "This sucks." And I'm just like, "You suck." But and I don't know, like I don't need like everyone to love like the music I listen to, but just to be able to share, it's just fun, you know.
Yeah.
Instead of just being in my own little world all the time.
Yeah.
Right.
But I don't know if I necessarily have like a mission, but
you don't want to change the world?
It's impossible. I'm trying to change myself.
You guys ready for the last question?
Sure.
Yeah.
All right. So the last question is, what happens next? Chad, I'll let you take it away, and then I'll close out the video and stuff. So I'll go last. But yeah.
What happens next? This is a question we ask ourselves.
Unless you want to go first, but
I'm cool watching Chad. No, I could go. It's fine.
Let's I'll go second.
because we do bounce a lot of ideas and things with each other.
I'm just like I'm a little useless this time around. But.
I think what happens next, I guess, for the channel, in my view, is we're gonna just keep on doing more bands, more albums. Sometimes it is a little tricky with like the copyright stuff because we don't want to. This isn't like we're not making these videos just so that people could listen to music without buying it or whatever. We want to make sure we add like links that people could purchase the music. That's why we like showing off the actual album, just to show like, yeah, we like supporting these bands. We like buying stuff from them and supporting them. So I think what happens next is we're gonna do more of those kinds of videos. We're also gonna just do like kind of like special videos where it's not anybody's certain pick, and we'll like keep that secret for now. But we've had some discussions about special albums or special kind of events that we wanted to do. We also have like wanted to do some more videos based on like topics and stuff too, like talking about a certain genre of music or talking about a certain cultural bent on music or something like that, because that stuff has always kind of interested us, and so I think what happens next is we're going to kick a lot of ass.
We're all out of bubblegum.
Driving off. No, but, just doing the same old crap that we're already doing. Even more epic when you put it that way.
Anything to add, Chad?
No, dude, close it out. I guess I need to maybe get a little more involved in this.
Yo, they just said like they would pay me $20.
They're like, hey, Chad, come here, sit down. I'm like, hey, what's up, guys?
Hey, we're filming you.
Hey, what's that? Oh, it's nothing. Okay.
I guess I'll go ahead and close it out. What happens next for the channel and whatnot? I do agree, we are going to have some interesting stuff coming up and whatnot. I did want to mention this, I think some people they'll find like a certain video and then they'll think that we're like only this channel or find some other video and like, oh, they're only doing this genre. And I feel bad if you're like really into power metal and you're like, oh man, I really want them to do more power metal. Don't worry, we will do more power metal and stuff, but like we don't want to be a power metal channel. We don't want to be a punk channel. We don't want to be like only metal. There's so much music to get into and whatnot.
We just want to be a deep dive channel.
Yeah, exactly. And so if you're into like prog power, I'm your guy, but if you're like, oh dude, I want them to get back to thrash and stuff, like Chad's like your guy. So it's gonna be funny.
And if you want to hear good music, Ian's your guy. No, I'm messing.
And so it's interesting because like we're all pretty different with our approach and some of the things that we want to bring out and whatnot. Yeah. And so like over time you'll notice little things that like, oh, that's something Kevin would do or Kevin would say or whatever. And I know not everyone's going to watch every video and whatnot. And I did want to also mention that none of this is scripted. None of our videos are scripted. We'll just kind of do what we're doing. We enjoy doing it. Like Chad mentioned and whatnot, like we've been like doing albums and ranking them and stuff for 10, 15, 20 years and whatnot. So it's just, recently we were like, yeah, why don't we just like film it and whatnot.
See what happens.
Yeah, see what happens. Maybe it'll reach someone. We're not trying to, figure out the algorithm, figure out how to get more views and stuff.
Jobs and they suck.
I kind of like my job.
Yeah, me too. No, but yeah, No, but like, this is just for fun. Like, really.
Exactly.
This is just have a good time, man.
That's the thing. Is like, we're not gonna be like, hey, please like and subscribe, please, whatever. Because we're doing this as like something we enjoy doing as a hobby and whatnot, and we hope that like, you as a listener enjoy it as well. So, anything else to add, guys, before I close it out?
No, I appreciate everybody even commenting on our videos and just talking with us, because it's fun to talk with other people. Like when I write a review or just even like somebody messages me and they're like, dude, yeah, I agree, I like this band, or dude, I agree, that band sucks, and it's fun that people reach out to me, and I'll sometimes reach out to other people whenever I see what they're saying, or and so I just appreciate the conversation going.
Cool. Yeah, thanks for watching. I'm glad we did this. We've been meaning to do something like this for a little while, because we, like I said, we like to just jump right into the music and just do our thing, But hopefully this gives you an idea of kind of what we're about and whatnot, and so, and the channel will probably change over time and whatnot, and so we'll just kind of see where it goes. So
it's our life.
Whole story. So thank you for watching, everybody, and hope you guys have a great day.